I still remember the exact moment my world cracked open. I was standing in his sleek corner office, the one with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, my hands trembling slightly as I held the folder with all my achievements for the past 3 years. "Sarah," he said, leaning back in his leather chair, with that arrogant smirk I had come to hate. "The economy isn't great right now. This is all you can handle. Don't complain. Be grateful you even have a job." His words hit me like ice water. After everything I had poured into this company, late nights, weekends, covering for colleagues when they were sick, delivering results that made his bonuses possible, he looked me dead in the eyes and told me this was my limit. "My name is Sarah, and for 5 years I gave my heart and soul to Apex Solutions. I started as an assistant and worked my way up to senior project manager. I believed in the company. I believed in him. My boss, Richard Caldwell. He was the kind of man who shook hands at industry events and talked about family values and taking care of his team. I thought I was part of that team. But that day, something inside me shifted. I walked out of his office with a smile frozen on my face, but inside, I was shattered. That night, I sat at my kitchen table, staring at bills I could barely cover, wondering how a man making millions could look at me, a single mother trying to build a better life, and tell me the economy meant I had to stay small. I cried. Not loud, broken sobs, but quiet tears that fell onto the same performance reviews where he had written exceptional and irreplaceable. How quickly those words meant nothing when money was involved. What I didn't know then was that this moment of humiliation would become the beginning of something none of us saw coming. Not Richard, not the rest of the staff, and certainly not me. The weeks that followed were some of the hardest of my life. Richard's attitude grew colder. He started holding economy adjustment meetings where he casually announced salary freezes, reduced benefits, and longer hours. Yet his own lifestyle never changed. New luxury car in the parking spot, designer suits, expensive team-building retreats that only upper management attended. I watched good people break under the pressure. My friend Lisa in accounting broke down in the bathroom after her hours were cut, but her workload doubled. Mark in operations was let go after 15 years because we have to tighten the belt. Every time someone suffered, Richard would give the same speech. "This is all the market can handle right now. Be grateful." The betrayal cut deeper because I had defended him. When employees complained, I was the one saying, "He's just trying to keep the company afloat." I had believed his lies. One evening, while working late again, I accidentally opened a shared financial folder that wasn't properly secured. What I found left me speechless. Richard had approved massive bonuses for himself and 2 executives while telling the rest of us we had to sacrifice. The company wasn't struggling. It was thriving. He was simply choosing to keep more for himself. That was the night the pain turned into something else. Anger. Clarity. A quiet, burning resolve. I stopped crying. I started planning. I began documenting everything. Emails, financial discrepancies, the way he spoke to staff. I reached out quietly to a few trusted colleagues. At first they were scared, but the more we talked, the more we realized we weren't alone in our anger. Meanwhile, Richard kept smirking. He even pulled me aside one day and said, "Sarah, you've been looking stressed. Maybe this role is getting too big for you. Remember, in this economy..." He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. The message was clear. Stay in your place. But I was done staying small. While he thought I was quietly suffering, I was building something in the shadows. I used my nights and weekends to create a proposal for a new kind of agency, one that actually valued people. I reached out to clients I had personally nurtured for years. I refined my skills. I saved every extra penny. The emotional toll was heavy. There were nights I doubted myself, wondering if a single mother could really challenge a man like Richard. But every time doubt crept in, I remembered his smirk and those cutting words. This is all you can handle. 6 months later, everything changed. I launched Lumina Strategies with 3 former colleagues who had quietly left Apex. We started small, but the difference was immediate. Clients who had worked with me for years followed because they knew my values. Word spread fast in our industry. Within 4 months, we had taken 3 major accounts from Apex, accounts Richard had been certain were locked in. Then came the day none of us will ever forget. Richard called an emergency all-hands meeting. The entire staff gathered in the large conference room, tension thick in the air. He looked rattled. His usual confidence was cracking. He started his typical speech about economic challenges when the door opened and 2 of his biggest clients walked in, the ones who had just moved to us. But they weren't there to support him. They were there to tell the entire staff the truth. I had given them permission to speak openly. They explained why they left, the broken promises, the disrespect, the way Richard had been treating the very people who made his success possible. One of them looked directly at the team and said, "We chose Sarah because she treats people with the dignity you promised, but never delivered." The room fell completely silent. I watched Richard's face turn pale as the staff slowly turned their eyes toward him. The same people he had told to be grateful were now staring at him with disappointment and awakening anger. He tried to recover, stammering about misunderstandings. But it was too late. Several employees resigned that same week. Others started speaking up. His carefully built image was crumbling in real time. As for me, I didn't gloat. I simply sent him one final email, professional, calm, and honest. "You told me this was all I could handle. Thank you. Because of your words, I discovered I could handle so much more." Today, Lumina Strategies is thriving. We have a waiting list of talented people who want to work in an environment where they're truly valued. And every time I walk into our bright, open office, I remember the woman who once cried at her kitchen table. She didn't stay broken. She rose. If there's one thing I've learned through all of this, it's that no one has the right to put a limit on your potential, especially not someone who benefits from keeping you small. Never let anyone convince you that this is all you can handle, because sometimes the greatest revenge isn't loud or cruel. It's simply proving them wrong and building a better life in the process. And that feels like justice.